Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Star Trek may have died in a filing cabinet if Lucille Ball had not stepped in. Today, it's hard to imagine television without the Enterprise, Captain Kirk, Spock, phasers, strange new worlds, and fans who can debate a single episode like it holds the secret of the universe. But before Star Trek became a science fiction giant, NBC nearly let it disappear after one rejected pilot. The surprise hero was not a studio executive in a sharp suit or a network programmer chasing trends. It was Lucille Ball, the queen of television comedy, sitting at the top of Desilu Productions and choosing to bet on a show her own people thought was too expensive, too strange, and too risky. As we get started, tell us in the comments whether you think Star Trek would have survived without Lucy fighting for it. Today we're looking at how Lucille Ball secretly saved Star Trek before NBC could kill it. Lucy the Boss.
How have you been? Oh, I've been fine. I felt wonderful. How have you been? Great. Never felt better. Well, let's drink to our good health. What's new? Nothing.
Most people think of Lucille Ball as Lucy Ricardo, the wild-eyed redhead stuffing chocolates in her mouth or getting into trouble with Ethel. That version of Lucy became immortal on screen, but behind the scenes, she was something even rarer. After her marriage to Desi Arnaz ended, Ball bought him out and became head of Desilu Productions. That made her one of the most powerful women in television at a time when boardrooms were not exactly throwing open the doors. Desilu had already been tied to major hits, but Ball was not just protecting old victories. She was looking for shows that could push television forward. That's where Gene Roddenberry walked in with Star Trek, a costly space adventure that sounded brilliant to some people and financially insane to others. The first no.
It's a radio wave, sir. We're passing through an old-style distress signal.
They were keyed to cause interference and attract attention this way.
A ship in trouble making a forced landing, sir. That's it. No other message.
I have a fix. It comes from the Talos Star Group.
We've no ships or Earth colonies that far out.
Star Trek's original pilot was called The Cage. It had Captain Christopher Pike, Spock, number 1, strange alien visions, and a more serious tone than most network television of the day. NBC looked at it and said no. The usual story is that executives found it too cerebral. They thought it was too brainy, too slow, and maybe too weird for a mass audience. For most shows, that would have been the end. A rejected pilot usually meant the project got buried, the sets got forgotten, and everyone moved on. But Lucille Ball did not move on. She believed there was something in Roddenberry's idea, even if the first attempt had not convinced the network. The second chance.
Will you try for one moment to feel? At least act like you've got a heart. We're talking about Gary.
The captain of the Valiant probably felt the same way. And he waited too long to make his decision.
Second pilots almost never happened. They cost too much, and they required somebody with the power to say the first failure deserved another shot. Ball backed that second shot. Desilu helped keep the project alive while NBC reconsidered. The next pilot, Where No Man Has Gone Before, changed the face of the show. Captain Pike was gone. William Shatner arrived as Captain Kirk. The pacing was sharper, the energy stronger, and the show finally looked more like the Star Trek people remember. Without that second chance, there would likely be no 5-year mission, no Vulcan salute, no transporter jokes, and no future where Star Trek becomes one of the biggest science fiction franchises ever made. The bigger gamble.
They seem to be gorged.
Gorged? On my grain? Kirk, I am going to hold you responsible. There must be thousands of them.
Hundreds of thousands.
1,771,561. That's assuming one tribble, multiplying with an average litter of 10, producing a new generation every 12 hours over a period of 3 days.
What made Lucy's decision even riskier was that Star Trek was not the only ambitious project on Desilu's plate. The studio was also moving forward with Mission Impossible, another show that did not look like cheap, easy television. It had espionage, elaborate plots, disguises, stunts, and a polished style that felt closer to movies than ordinary weekly programming. So Lucy wasn't just saving one unusual science fiction show. She was steering Desilu toward a future where television could look bigger, smarter, and more cinematic. That was bold, but it also made the company vulnerable. Every expensive set, every effect, every day of production extra added pressure. Some executives saw danger. Lucy seemed to see possibility. She had spent years proving that television could be more sophisticated than people expected, even back in the I Love Lucy days when Desilu helped reshape how sitcoms were filmed and preserved. With Star Trek, she was taking that same instinct into a much stranger universe. It would have been easy for her to play it safe. She could have leaned on comedy, familiar formats, and cheaper shows that did not require alien makeup or futuristic control rooms. Instead, she helped give television two franchises that would outlive Desilu itself. That's why Lucy's role in Star Trek is not just a cute bit of trivia. It's one of the most surprising acts of creative risk-taking in TV history. The price tag. But Lucy's faith came with a cost. Star Trek was not cheap. It needed alien worlds, futuristic sets, costumes, effects, props, and weekly stories that could not be filmed like an ordinary living room comedy. Desilu's board was nervous, and they had a reason to be. Mission Impossible was also demanding money, and Star Trek's budget made executives sweat. Some later accounts claimed Star Trek helped push Desilu toward a sale. That may be a little too neat because Desilu had more than one financial pressure. But there's no doubt the show is expensive for an independent studio. Lucille Ball had instincts, but she did not have endless pockets. Believing in the future of television was one thing, paying for it every week was another. The final rescue.
And it was Lucille Ball at Desilu Studios that took it in. And so I'd be making up history if I said anything else, but my understanding is that she didn't play by the rules. She was a bit of a tough broad, as they would say. And I think she took a chance on this guy and on this show because no one else was doing it. And it was different. So whether you call that ingenious foresight on her part or insanity on her part, she deserves tremendous credit for being the one who gave my father the chance.
In 1967, Ball sold Desilu to Gulf and Western, which folded it into what became Paramount Television. It was a huge move, and for Lucy, it meant letting go of the studio she had built with Desi. That sale helped place Star Trek under a company with deeper resources and a better chance to carry a show that was bigger than Desilu could comfortably handle. Star Trek still struggled. Ratings were not spectacular, and NBC eventually canceled it after 3 seasons. But by then, the show existed. The episodes were made. The universe was on tape. Syndication did what NBC couldn't. Reruns found the audience. Fans found each other. And the little space show Lucy refused to let die became a television empire. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Lucille Ball deserves more credit for Star Trek's survival? Let us know in the comments section below.